So at the time I was living in Philadelphia, and I started looking for resources because I assumed, there's got to be someone who can help these kittens.
Right.
And I discovered there was nobody. So most shelters, almost every shelter in the United States, they don't have programs for kittens this young because they are so resource intensive, and a lot of people don't know how to care for them. So I started looking online, trying to find information. How do I save them? And there wasn't a lot. So I had to learn kind of through trial and error how to take care of these guys.
Oh my gosh.
And I became so passionate about it because, they're so vulnerable, they're so tiny. I mean, these guys fit in the palm of your hand. Eyes closed, umbilical cord still attached. And when you find them, I mean, your whole day stops and you say, how do I help this animal?
Right.
So I became just absolutely obsessed with finding ways to save their lives.
So you would harbor these kittens and you'd help them, and what, like?
Yeah, so
they
bottle
would grow
feeding,
okay.
and they're
in like your apartment.
Yeah, I mean, when I lived in Philadelphia, I had them in an apartment. Now I live in Washington, D.C., and I have a 3-bedroom house, so one of my rooms is a kitten bedroom.
Wow.
And it's just, yeah. So, yeah, it's funny. I actually live in the D.C. suburbs, and a lot of my friends have moved to from D.C. into the suburbs to, raise kids, and I did the same thing. It's just they're all baby kittens.
So exactly, how young do the kittens have to be? I mean, up to how long until then?
Yeah, so the population I work with is 0 day, 1 day old to 8 weeks old.
8 weeks old.
8 weeks is when they are independent enough to be adopted. A lot of the kittens that I get are just hours old, so they might even still be wet from birth. A lot of these kittens that are found outside, and people take them to the shelter, and the shelter says, a lot of shelters, they don't have overnight staff, they don't have somebody to take care of them because, you have to be giving them care every few hours. So
they're a baby.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Just like having a little baby.
It
so
is.
I was on your website, and I mean, you will fall in love with these kittens if you go to your website because you have the sweetest pictures. So give your website a quick plug.
Yeah, so my website is kittenlady.org. And, a big part of what I do is social media. So the reason that this became so popular is I started to just document my life on, mainly on Instagram is where it blew up. I actually hit 250,000 followers yesterday.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations.
That's awesome.
So I have 250,000 plus people who follow me on Instagram. And that is, if you are on Instagram, it's just at KittenXLady. But I also have a Facebook. If you look up Kitten Lady on Facebook, and a big part of what I do, I do photography and I do a lot of video work. So I not only document the work that I'm doing, but my project is aimed at helping people who are in my position where you find a kitten outside and you don't know what to do, and maybe there's nowhere for them to go, that at least now there are resources online about how to take care of them.
Wonderful. So, in the comic strip by Jim Davis, John Arbuckle is the owner of this cat, whose best friend is a dog named Odie.
Garfield.
Garfield, that's right!
Oh, woo.
I loved that as a kid.
All right, this cat's best friend, or nemesis probably is more likely, Tweety Bird.
Oh, Sylvester.
Sylvester! Oh, yeah. Here's your final question.
Okay.
Your final question.
Okay. Of which literary cat was it said by one of the book's main characters, "Well, I've often seen a cat without a grin, but a grin without a cat, it's the most curious thing I ever saw."
I know this one, Cheshire Cat.
Yes! Alice in Wonderland.